In this video, we are going to learn about file manipulators and another built-in function to read or write an integer. Okay, so just a short description about getw and putw functions. So let us see this program. There is a main function here. I have opened a file. The name of the file is number.txt. I have checked whether I can open it successfully or not. And then what I'm going to do, I'm telling the user, enter an integer. Then user will enter the integer. I will store it in the variable n1 using scanf. Now you can write this integer inside your file. Suppose this is my file. The name of the file is number with the extension .txt. So I want to write this integer, that is the value of n1. Now whatever value the user will enter, that value I'm going to write inside my file using this putw built-in function. So call this function by passing two parameters. The first parameter is n1, that is nothing but the integer which you want to write, and the file pointer, so that it knows that to which file I need to write. So whatever the value of n1 the user enters, suppose the user enters the value 5, then n1 will become 5 using scanf, and then I will be able to write the integer value 5 inside my file. And then I'm going to close my file. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'll open the same file again in the read mode so that I can access the content of the file. I will check whether I'm able to open it successfully or not. Now using the getw function. Previous what we used putw to put or write the integer inside the file. Now to extract or read the integer from the file, use getw. So you have to call this function by passing the file pointer as a parameter. This function will return the integer inside the file. So whatever integer is inside my file, that will get extracted. It will get stored in the variable n2, right? So in my file, I had the number 5. So this value 5 will get assigned to the n2 variable. So n2 becomes equal to 5 by executing this line of code. Okay, and then whatever is in n2 is the content of my file, which is the integer inside my file. So that I'm going to print here using printf function call. And then finally close your file. Right, so I hope you have understood. So this was a very simple program. In it, what you did, you wrote an integer inside the file using putw function, and you read the integer from the file and printed it at the output window using getw function. So this is how it will appear when you execute this program. So first the user is informed that enter an integer value. So the user has entered 22 through the keyboard. And then what has happened? I have closed the file, and then I'm going to open the file in read mode. So whatever was written inside my file, 22 was the number this time, which was written inside my file, that has got extracted by the getw function, and it has been returned to n2 variable, and the value of n2 I have printed over here. Okay, so this was a simple program. I'm sure you have understood it. Now heading towards the main topic, that is file manipulators, sorry. So in file manipulators, you can manipulate or change or shift or change the position of the cursor of your file, right? We have seen that the cursor of the file determines the position from which you can perform an operation. So suppose this is the content of my file. Then suppose the cursor is over here. Then from this position, from this particular position onwards, I will be able to perform my operation. If I want to read my file from this position, what I will be able to read is blue exclamation, it's a sunny day. Suppose from this particular position, I want to write something. Then what will happen? I can write, and what will happen? It will get overwritten. We have seen it in the previous video. Right? So file cursor or the pointer determines the position in the file from which you can perform read or write operation. Okay. And now using certain built-in functions, we are going to change the position, and we are going to inform to which position. Okay, so first let us see fseek function. So what I've done is I've created a file, opened it in the A plus mode, means append plus mode. What is the benefit of opening in A plus mode? If the file does not exist, it will be created and it will be opened, it will be blank. Just a minute. But suppose the file already exists, then what will happen? It will be opened, and if there is some already existing content in it, it will not be erased. Means whatever previous content was present inside my file, it will be retained. So what will happen? I can use the previous content as well. That is the benefit of append mode. And append plus means what? You will be able to read as well as write. Right? Here write means append. So you can read as well as append the content to your file. When the writing gets inserted to the previous content, it becomes append operation. But when the previous content will get erased and then you write, it is called write operation, right? So append is nothing but write operation only, but it will be along with the previous content. Okay. So now this is a string which I've initialized to new content. The file name is file ABC. Now what I'm going to do, so now this is my file abc.txt. And what is the content inside this file which I have written? This one, new content. So now where the cursor position is, anyone? The cursor position is over here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I want to change the position of this cursor. So currently, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this fseek function. Right? Now before calling this function, let us see some theory related to this. See, whenever you use fseek function, this is the parameters that you have to pass. So first you'll have to pass the file pointer, suppose it is fp. Then you have to pass the offset and then the origin. Now origin means you can call it as the current position of your cursor. So currently my cursor is where? Over here. So this is my current position of the cursor, right? So from the origin means you can simply call it current also here, current position. Okay, that you have to specify as the third parameter. And the second parameter offset means from the position, right? From the position, my current position, or you can simply say position. Okay, instead of saying origin or current, you call it simply position. You'll be able to understand better. Okay, this third parameter is called as position. So what you will do is, whatever position you specify as the third parameter, from that position, you're going to change the position of your file pointer. Okay, for example, suppose the position of your file pointer is over here. Okay, after content over here, the position of the file pointer. So if I want to move backward, that means from the position of my file pointer, if I move by one position backward, means what? I want to move one position backward from the current position of my file pointer, means I want to move over here. So from this position, if I minus 1, I can go one step backward. Now from this position, if I want to move one step backward, that means I want to come here, then again I have to do minus 1. From this position, if I want to move one step backward, again minus 1, right? So what I want to say is, from the position of your file pointer, if you want to move backward, then you have to subtract certain integer value. This is called as offset. Okay, I repeat with another example. Suppose consider your file pointer is over here. Okay, I want to move backward by one character or by one position. Then what I have to do? From this current position of my file pointer, if I do minus 1, then I will be able to go over here. If I do minus 1 again, I will be able to come here. Right? So from the position of your cursor, you have to specify a particular number by which you want to move the cursor. Right? Let's see once again. Suppose this is the current position of my cursor. I want to move behind by 3 steps, right? Means first like this I will go, then like this, and then like this. So if I do minus 3 from the current position, I will be able to go backward, right? This minus 3 is called as offset, right? I hope you have understood. So from the position of your cursor, if you specify an integer value, means from that position, you want to go ahead or backward. Let's see another example of offset. Suppose this is the current position of my cursor. I want to move ahead by 4 places or 4 characters. Then what I have to do? If I do plus 1, I will come here. Again I do plus 1, I will come here. Again I do plus 1, I will come here. Again I do plus 1, I will come over here. Right? So instead of doing plus 1 again and again, from the current position of your cursor, what you'll do? You'll do plus 4. So that you will be able to go in one shot by 4 places and your cursor will come over here. Right? So here 4 is the offset from this position of the cursor. Right? From which position you started moving? From this particular position, you moved ahead by 4 characters. So from this position, your offset is 4. Right? So I hope you understood offset means what? Offset means from the current position of the cursor, how much you want to move ahead or backward. We'll see some examples. It will get clearer. So here the meaning of position is what? Position is nothing but the position of your cursor. Now there are 3 possible positions. One of them is the position can be this one, seek set. The position can be seek set. Seek set means what? The cursor is at the beginning of the file. Beginning of the file means what? Cursor is over here. Cursor is over here at the beginning of the file. This position of the cursor is called as seek set. If the cursor is at the beginning of the file, it is called as seek underscore set position. Now if your cursor is at the end of the file, this position is called as seek end position. So this position of the cursor is called seek underscore end. If your cursor is not at the beginning, if your cursor is not at the end, then that particular position of the cursor, for example, cursor is here means this is not the beginning position, this is not the end position. Cursor is over here means this is also not the beginning, this is also not the end. So any intermediate position which is not beginning or which is not end is known as the current position of the cursor. Means it is called as the seek cur position or seek cur position. Cur means current. Okay, so I hope you understood the different positions of the cursor. There can be no other position, right? Either the position may be the start of the file or the end of the file or somewhere in between of the file. These are the only possible positions of your file cursor. And these positions are known as seek set, seek end, and seek cur or seek current. So for example, let us analyze seek set position. So now currently my file pointer is at the beginning of the file position. So now if I want to move ahead by 3 characters, then how I have to call this function, let me show you. So first parameter that you have to give is file pointer, then the offset, and then the position of the cursor. So I will say, I will call this function fseek. I will pass the file pointer. Now I want to move from the start of the file. Means the position, that is the third parameter, would be, I need to pass here seek underscore set. Okay, my third parameter is the position of the cursor from which I want to do something. So from the beginning of the file I want to do something, so third parameter would be seek set. And the second parameter that I need to pass is, since I want to move ahead by 3 characters, I need to pass the number 3 over here. So whenever I execute this function call, what will happen is the cursor will go to the beginning of the file position, that is the start of the file, that is the seek set position, and then the offset will be considered. Offset is +3 over here, means my file pointer will move ahead by 3 characters or 3 elements, you can say, right? By 3 characters it will move ahead. So now the cursor is over here after the word new. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. Now the what is the position of my cursor? Now my cursor is over here, right? My cursor is where now? My cursor is over here. Now this is my position of the cursor. Okay, now if I want to move ahead again from the beginning, means what I have to do? Now the current position of my cursor is where? Over here after the word new. I want to call this function now in this way. How I want to call my function? I want to say fseek, file pointer I have passed, then I want to move by 4 characters this time, and again from where I want to move? From the start of the file. Means my third parameter that I pass would be seek set. So what will happen now? The cursor will jump from wherever it is to the start of the file. So cursor will come where now? Over here before new. That is at the start of the file. And now offset you have to consider. What is my offset in this case? 4. So the cursor will move by 4 characters ahead. Right? So I hope you understood. Wherever the cursor is, it will first move to the seek set position, that is the start of the file position, and from there onwards you will consider the offset and the cursor will move to that particular position. And from there onwards you can either read or write. Okay, this was seek set. Now let us see the next cursor position. So now suppose my file pointer or the cursor is at the end of the file position. This position is known as what? This position is called as seek end, right? It is called as seek end position. We are seeing the seek end cursor position. So now my third parameter would be seek end. So suppose I call the function in this way. I say fseek, file pointer is fp suppose. Then my third parameter would be seek end. So now this is the position that you need to consider, the end of file position of the cursor. Now from this position, I have to consider the offset. So suppose the offset that I specify is -4. In this case, what will happen? Wherever the position of the cursor is, now it is at the, suppose, end of file. So what will happen? The cursor will move from the end of file backward, because I have written minus sign here, so backward it will move by 4 characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now finally my cursor will come over here, right? So now the current position of my cursor is here, right? I hope you understood. So from the end of the file, it will move backward because -4 I've written, and by how much backward? By 4 characters. Let's see another example. So now suppose my cursor is not at the end of the file. My cursor is over here, suppose. Any intermediate position within my file. Now when I call this function, file pointer I have passed seek end, and the parameter that I pass is suppose -6. Okay, so now what will happen? First of all, the current position of the cursor is this one. So cursor will move from here and it will jump to the seek end position, that is end of file position. And from this position, it will move 6 characters backward because I have written -6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now the cursor will finally come to this position. So I hope you understood this. Wherever the cursor is, it will first go to the seek end position, that is the end of file position, and from there the offset will be considered. Now suppose instead of specifying a negative offset, instead of specifying -6, I specify the offset as 3. So what will happen? Cursor is over here, suppose. Cursor will jump to the seek end position, and after the end position, it will move ahead by 3 characters. So what will happen? End of file is already there. So it will move by 1 character, means 1 byte you can say, because character occupies 1 byte. Then it will move here and then here. So now finally the cursor will be after the 3 positions forward from the end of file. Okay. Now let us see seek cur position or seek current position. So now suppose, what is seek current position? Seek current position means any position of the file pointer or the cursor other than the beginning and the end. So if I say here, this is my seek cur position. If I say my file pointer is here, then this is my seek cur position. If my file pointer is here, this is my seek current position, right? So suppose I consider that my file pointer is over here. So this is my seek cur position for this case, this one. Now I will specify the position, that is the third parameter. I will specify my third parameter as seek cur. So what will be considered? This current position of the cursor is what? The current position of the cursor is this one. So from this position, the offset will be considered. Suppose the offset I specify is 2. Then +2 it is. So by 2 characters, that means like this and like this. So now the cursor will come after T. So this will be my position now. right? So from the current position, wherever the cursor is, from that position onwards, either forward or backward, you will be able to move by the offset. Okay. So suppose now I have moved my cursor over here by specifying the function call with +2 as the offset. Now if I specify my offset as -2, then what will happen? Which is my current position now? This is my current position. So from this position, I will move backward by 2. Okay, I'll come back here, right? So now again I call this function. So again I'm specifying the offset as -2. Now which is the current position of my cursor? This one. So from here I will move behind by 2. Now which is the current position of my cursor? Over here. Now suppose I specify the offset as 4. +4. I specify the offset. So I will move ahead by 4 characters from here, right? So wherever is the current position of the cursor, from there onwards by the offset, you will be able to move forward or backward. I hope you have understood this. So this was fseek function call, using which you can move the pointer or the file pointer or the file cursor ahead or backward from various positions and from that position's offset. So what I'm doing in this program is, first of all, the content in my file is what? This one, which I've written, new content. So what I'm going to do in this program is first pass the file pointer, then the offset, and then the position. So I'm considering seek set as the position of my cursor. So suppose I've written this content in my file. So now the cursor is over here, right? After the content, the cursor will be, because I've written this content. So what has happened? Cursor has moved to the end of the file. So wherever the cursor is, it will first move to the seek set position, that is at the beginning of the file. And then from this position onwards, the seek set position onwards, the offset will be considered as 6 in this case. So where the cursor will go now? 6 characters ahead. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now cursor will come over here. Okay. So I hope you understood this function, how it executed. Now the cursor position is where? This one. So from this position onwards, I can read or write. So suppose I'm reading, right? Using this while loop, I'm reading character by character until the end of file. So what will happen? The cursor is over here. So I'm going to read up to the end of file. So I will be able to read what? I will be able to read the characters N. Then cursor will come ahead. I will be able to read T. Cursor will come ahead. I will be able to read E. Then when the cursor comes ahead, I can read N. And then the cursor will come ahead and I can read T. Finally, end of file has been reached. So I have been able to read from the current position of the cursor. I have been able to read from the current position of the cursor, that is this one, up to the end of the file, right? We know that from the cursor position onwards only we can read or write. So in this way, what you can do is without calling rewind function that go to the beginning, right? Using rewind function, what you can do, you can only go to the beginning of the file. But using fseek function, you can go anywhere, to the beginning, to the end, anywhere in the middle, right? So that is what I have been able to do. I've been able to change the position to the offset number 6, and from there onwards I have read or written, right? In this case I have read something. Now we can, as I have shown you, that we can move from here to there, but we may also have a requirement that we want to know that where we have moved, right? We may simply move the position of the cursor anywhere in the file, but we can also tell the, we can also print it that where we have moved. Okay, this is also possible. Where the cursor has been moved, that we can print it at the output using ftell function, right? fseek is used to move the pointer position, and ftell function is used to tell the pointer position or inform to the programmer where the position of the pointer is currently, right? ftell will only give the current position of the cursor. So for example, over here, let us see. So I have written certain content in my file, and the file pointer has come to the end of the file. Okay. So now when I call my ftell function by passing the file pointer as a parameter to it, what will happen? So the position of the pointer is counted in terms of the number of characters of which it is ahead. Means what? Let me clarify. You have to count the total number of characters before the file cursor. Let us count the characters before the file cursor starting from the beginning of the file. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So before the cursor there are 11 characters, right? So the ftell function will return the position of the pointer as 11. Okay, so let me 1 second just run this program. Just a minute. Yes, so what I confirmed is the output of ftell function. That means you have to just simply count the total number of characters before the file pointer. That will be the position of the cursor. Okay. Now suppose my file pointer is at this position, and if I call my ftell function, how you can know what it will return? You have to simply count the number of characters before the cursor starting from the beginning of the file. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So ftell function will return the value 5. Okay, I hope you have understood. So now what I've done is, first I've done fseek function and the file pointer has come at the offset 6. So initially I've written something in my file, so file pointer is over here, suppose. Okay, you know that case. Or another case can be, you have opened the file in append mode, right? In append mode, what happens is, whenever you open the file in append mode, the file pointer will not start from the beginning. Whenever you open your file in append mode, directly the file pointer will be at the end of file. Okay, as soon as you open the append mode, the cursor will be at the end of file, because from the cursor position onwards it will write. No, in append what will happen? It will write from the last position onwards to store the previously existing content, to retain it. So whenever you open it in append mode, the cursor will be at the end of the file, so that the previous content does not get erased, so that you can write from the end of the file onwards, right? I hope you have understood this. So suppose you open the file in append mode, the cursor is over here. So you're going to what I've done here is I have called this fseek function. So wherever the cursor is, in this case it is over here, it will first move to the seek set position, right? Seek set position, and then the offset 6 has to be applied, plus 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now cursor will be over here, right? So now if you apply ftell, what you have to do, you have to count the total number of characters before the position of the cursor. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 will be the answer of ftell, right? So in this case, see what I'm doing. I have opened the file in the append mode. So the content of the file is new content. Then I've moved the cursor to which position? To this position, right? Which position? This position. So after this, after moving it to this particular position, what I'm going to do? I'm going to simply print out the current position. So I have moved the file pointer by 6, right? That means there are 6 characters over here before the cursor. There are 6 characters. So ftell should return 6 as the current position, and it is doing so. Okay. Now if I uncomment this, what I'm going to do is the current position of my cursor is where? Over here, after applying fseek. Right, I have applied this, called this fseek function. So now my cursor is over here. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to read from the current position of the cursor. Current position of the cursor is where? Current position of the cursor is here. So from here onwards, I'm going to read my file, right, using this syntax till the end of file. So now cursor will move to the end of the file, right? So cursor will be over here. So at this point of time, if I apply my ftell function, what will happen? You have to count the total number of characters before the current position of the cursor. Current position of the cursor is where? This one, right? So you have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that is why at the output, it is giving 11 now, right? It is giving 11. And as you can see, I have read from where? I have read from this position onwards. That means I have read from here onwards, right? So what is getting displayed at the output is NTENT. Just a minute. See this one. NTENT, right? Because I have read from here onwards. So NTENT is getting printed. And then file pointer is over here. So ftell is giving the 11 as the answer. So now how you call this function in your program ftell is, the ftell function always returns a long double value. Long double, or you can say, sorry, long integer, not long double, long integer. Here LD percent, LD means, this is the format specifier, and LD means long integer, right? We write %d for integer or %i for integer. LD means long integer. It returns a long integer value. So you can simply call this int, or you can simply write %d also, no problem, or you can write LD also. But the possibility is that it can return the value, right? Because in your file, there can be lots of content, right? In your file, not necessarily just 2-3 words are there. In your file, there can be, just a minute. See, in this case, in my file, only this much 2 words are there, new content. But in my file, there can be so much content, right? So if you go to, so this is the last content. Suppose file pointer is here. So what ftell will return? You have to count all these characters, right? So the integer value will become very big. There are so many characters. That is why it returns a long integer. Long integer means more capacity of the integer, large integer value. That is why its maximum capacity is it can return a long integer value, right? That is why I'm writing LD. Simply you can write %d also for small files. Okay. And whatever is returned by this is an integer value. So I'm using %d or %ld and I'm going to print it up. You can also do it this way. Int variable name is equal to ftell for the file pointer fp. And then you can print out the value of POS variable, right? Whatever is returned by ftell will be stored in int POS variable, and you're printing the value of POS variable, right? Or you can do it this way in one sentence, in one instruction. Now see, the current position, let me execute this and show you. So current position is 11, means at the end of the file. Current position of my file pointer is over here. Okay, this is 11. So if I apply ftell for this position, it gives me the value 11. Now what I'm going to do, I'm calling fseek function from the end of file position, right? And offset is 5, plus 5. So what happens, my cursor is already at the end of file position. So it will be here only, and the offset will be applied as plus 5. So it will move by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now file pointer position will be here. So what you have to do, if you apply ftell over here, what will happen? This much is what? This much is 11 positions, and I moved it forward from the end position by 5. So 11 plus 5, that is 16, right? 11 plus 5. So now if you apply ftell, it will give you 16 as the answer, right? See here, I ran my program again. It is telling me current position is 16, right? I repeat what happened, or you can rewind the video as well. Okay, so 11 plus 5 will give you the position of the file pointer. Now what I'm doing is, suppose instead of plus 5, I had done minus 5. Okay, so my file pointer was over here. This is the ftell over here will return me the value 11. Now if I do minus 5, okay, from where? From the end position itself. So it is already at the end. If I do minus 5, it will go backward by 5 positions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now the file pointer will come over here, right? So wherever the file pointer is, if you apply ftell, what you have to do, whatever is the number of characters before that file cursor, you have to count, right? So you will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are total 6 characters before the file pointer position. There are 6 characters. So now if I apply ftell, it will return the value 6 for me. Okay. As you can see, it is returning 6. Next case. So consider the file pointers at the end of file. So it is over here. At this position, if I apply ftell, if I call this function, it returns 11. Now what I'm doing, as per my program, now what I'm doing is, again I'm moving it to the 6th offset from the beginning, right? So seek set means what? the file pointer goes first to the beginning of the file and then 6 positions ahead, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now my file pointer is over here, right? So now if I print out the current position by ftell, it should return 6 as it is doing here. Now what I'm going to do, let me uncomment this one. Now I'm doing from the seek current position. So seek current means which position now? The current position of the file pointer. Current position of the file pointer is what? This position itself, current position. So from this position itself, what I have to do? I have to do -2 as the offset. So from this position itself, I will go backward by 2 characters or 2 positions. So 1, 2. So now my file pointer is over here before the letter C. This is the current position now. So if I apply the ftell function at this level, at this point of time, what I have to do, I have to count the number of characters before the file pointer. That means 1, 2, 3, 4. So now the position of the file pointer is 4. So let me run it. As you can see, it was 11. I moved it to position 6, then position 4. Now what I'm doing is, from the current position, I'm going to move it forward by 2. Or let's say 3 in this case. I'm going to move it forward by 3 from the seek current position. What is the seek current position? Current position of my file pointer is where now? Here. So from here, I want to move it forward by 3. So 1, 2, 3. So after n, that is over here, my file pointer is. So if I apply ftell now, what I have to count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now when I call my function, when I run this program, it should give me 7 as the answer, right? And over here, you can perform read or write or whatever. So this is how file pointer moves. So to summarize this, fseek function, what it does, it will move the file pointer position by an offset, and the offset will be considered either from the beginning position of the file or from the current position or from the end of the file position. Okay. And what will ftell do? Ftell will give you the current position of the cursor. Means you have to count the total number of characters before the cursor for ftell. Now, let us see a small program or manipulation based on this. See, in this program, what I've done is opened a demo file in the read mode. I have checked whether I've been able to open it successfully or not. And then I'm going to do fseek. I'm going to call this function for the position end of file, that is secant position. And from there, I'm going to move by 0 as my offset. Means for this particular example, if I consider, so my file pointer, now suppose already in my file I've written this content, Sanjay Gupta. Okay, already in my file this content I've written. Suppose it is Sanjay Gupta this time, not new content. Okay, and I want to call this way. fseek, fp0 and seek end. So I'm going to call my function fseek with these parameters. What I'm going to call fseek for the file pointer fp with the offset 0 considered from the end of file position. That means seek end, seek underscore end. So what will happen? First of all, the cursor, wherever it is, it will come to the end of the file position. And from there, it will move by 0 as the offset. Means 0 is neither positive, neither negative. So it will remain at the end of file position only. Means the offset is what? 0. So it will neither move ahead, nor it will move backward. It will remain at the end of file itself. Right? I hope you have understood. So by this, what is the benefit is, I have moved my pointer to the end of file. Now if I call my ftell function, what I have to do? I have to count the total number of characters before this cursor. Means I have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So here if I apply ftell, it will tell me the position as 11. Okay. And then I'm going to print out the position and then close my file. So this is the content. It should tell me it should give me the output as, output is expected as 11. Right? And when I run this program, it gives the output as 11. Now this 11 is nothing but the actual content of my file, right? It counts the total number of characters of my file. If my file pointer is at the end of the file, and here at the end of the file position, if I apply ftell, what I'm doing indirectly, I'm counting total content of my file. If there are 15 characters in my file, then if I apply ftell, okay, for example, if the number of characters over here is 15 and I apply and I move my cursor to the end of file, and here I apply ftell, so it will give me 15. If there are suppose 100 characters in my file and my file cursor is at the end of the file, if I apply ftell, it will return the value as 100. So it is nothing but if you apply ftell at the end of the file, right? If the cursor is at the end of the file and at this position of the cursor, if you call ftell, it will return the total number of characters of the file. Okay, so if you want to count the total number of characters of the file, you have to use this program. What is the program? In this program, what we have done, let us revise. In this program, firstly, you have to open the file and all, then move the position of the cursor using fseek to the end of the file and use the offset 0. So now whatever content is there of the file, suppose the content is Sanjay Gupta. So the cursor is over here after the last character. At this position, if I apply ftell, I have to count the total number of characters, which is nothing but the total content of the file, and it will have to print it. Okay, so move your cursor using fseek to the end and then apply ftell. It will return the total number of characters of the content of your file. Okay, so I hope you understood this program as well. Indirect way to count the total content of your file. You can also use size of file pointer also, which you have been using till now, or this way. Okay, I hope you understood this file manipulators. Fseek and ftell are called as file manipulators because you can manipulate or change the position of your file cursor or file pointer. So if you have any doubts, you can contact me and keep practicing, keep changing the file pointer positions. Thank you.